My name's PC Chris Pullen. I work as a response officer at Deeside Police Station. So I took the training beginning of December and November last year. It was interesting. For me, I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been on response effectively for 22 years. It was stuff that we kind of already knew, in a way, because we see generational families. Certainly, I have in my career seen families from dads to to kids to then grandkids almost now, unfortunately. But what was really interesting for me was the science behind it and seeing the research that had clearly been put into it to show why those ultimately the factors that we learnt about, the ACEs that we learnt about, have an impact and what they do. So the fact that they're there, and as police officers we kind of like things in boxes, we kind of like things in categories, so it gives us a way of actually evidentially putting that down as why it matters and what we were doing. Because it kind of put into format what we already knew but hadn't really ever discussed and haven't ever put in sort of any science behind it, so that was good. Impact-wise for me, it was obviously going forward, it meant that we had another outlet to refer people to. People come to us because we don't just deal with crime anymore, we're far more versatile in what we do. And people generally just come to us sometimes just for advice and just wanting that help, that outreach really. And they come to you with the expectation that you can do something about it, and as a police officer you want to help people. That's probably the reason why everyone joined, to be fair, as cheesy as that probably is, but that's the reason I joined, is the reason why most of us did, I think. So it's nice to have something to do for them, and invariably, certainly I've become quite, discouraged I suppose, in as much as that we deal with some families time and time again. We put CRD 16 as a referral means that we've got to pass things on to social services. And invariably we're hearing 6-7 times down the line, even though we've put these forms in and other officers, multi-officers have put these forms in, that they haven't had a social worker out yet, they've not had any contact with social workers, or they just haven't had the help that they were hoping for. To the point in some cases where people are tearing their hair out really at the wit's end. So it becomes quite quickly dispassionate when that's the case, and that's certainly been the case, I would say, the last few years, where just probably because of resources, people just haven't been able to respond as maybe they would have done 10-15 years ago. So to have an outlet like the early referral scheme, for us in particular with kids, is really good. And for me, by chance, 2 days after I did my training, a lady came in who wanted help with a daughter, and I was able to pinpoint the fact that she had 2 ACEs. Now, had that been a week before I'd done the training, that would have been a CRD 16, which would eventually maybe got around the system, but it wouldn't necessarily got her any help immediately. And now a daughter already is in the system and is already hopefully getting that help. Or straight away she's getting help that she wouldn't have got under the old, in the old way, that before the ACEs training, had I not known about ACEs in the first place. I think we all, as police officers and adults, and in all the professions we're in here, the multi-agency, is we all know that clearly there's going to be adverse effects on kids with everything they do. So it just gives us that other outlet to that. It can only be a good thing in my opinion, because it means that we've got a means of getting these people some help potentially quicker than we would have done in years gone by. I've always been frontline, so I've either been a community manager or I've been response. It's very easy to fall into the trap of, this is someone else's job, this is a social services job, this is a housing job, this is whatever, and as a result of that, when something doesn't happen that you think should be happening, it's very easy to accuse the other agency of doing something or not. Now, what you don't see as police officers generally is why they're not, and there might be a reason why. There might be criteria it doesn't hit for them, or whatever, the 101 policies that everyone's got in place, and I imagine it's exactly the same likewise back at us. So having people in the room who can answer those questions when you're there is really, really helpful, because they can, it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, if there's a missing piece to that, they can possibly put that answer in place. So it's really good to have joint working, full stop, but it's really good to have people in the other agencies in training and in meetings that you go into, because they can put their perspective, their role's perspective perhaps, or their agency's perspective into that format. We can suddenly understand, oh right, that's why that hasn't happened, or that's why that's not doing what we wanted it to do.